My husband's best man speech at our wedding revealed the one secret I never knew. I was sitting at the head table in my white dress, champagne in hand, feeling like the luckiest woman alive when the best man stood up to give his speech. The reception had been perfect. 200 guests, beautiful venue, everyone I loved gathered to celebrate what I thought was the greatest love story of my life. I was glowing, holding hands with my brand new husband under the table, completely unprepared for the next 5 minutes to destroy everything. Tyler's best friend since college, a guy named Bryce, who I'd always found slightly obnoxious but tolerated because he was important to my husband, was visibly drunk as he grabbed the microphone. He swayed slightly, grinning at the crowd with the confidence of someone who'd had 4 glasses of whiskey and thought he was hilarious. The speech started normally enough. Jokes about Tyler in college, embarrassing stories about their friendship, the standard best man material that made people laugh and groan in equal measure. I smiled along, squeezed Tyler's hand, felt the warmth of being surrounded by everyone we cared about. Then Price said something that made time stop. And to think this all started as a bet? Guess you really can fall in love with your mark, huh? The room erupted in laughter. People thought it was a joke, another funny bit in the speech. But I wasn't laughing. I was frozen, my champagne glass halfway to my lips, my brain trying to process what I'd just heard. Mark. He'd called me Tyler's mark, like a con, like a target. I turned to look at Tyler. His face had gone pale. He wasn't laughing either. He was staring at Bryce with an expression of pure horror, like his worst nightmare was unfolding in real time. Bryce continued, oblivious to the bomb he'd just dropped, laughing about how Tyler had totally won that bet and proved all the guys wrong. The crowd kept laughing, thinking this was part of the act, some elaborate joke about how Tyler had pursued me, but it wasn't a joke. I could see it in Tyler's face, in the way he couldn't look at me, in the way his hand had gone limp in mine. I sat through the rest of the speech in a state of shock, smiled mechanically when people looked at me, maintained the facade of happy bride while my internal world collapsed. When Bryce finally sat down to applause and cheers, I leaned over to Tyler and whispered, "We need to talk. Now." We excused ourselves from the head table, telling people we needed a moment, made our way through the crowd of congratulating guests, through the lobby of the venue, into a small private room that had been set aside for the wedding party. The second the door closed, I turned on him. What did he mean by that? Tyler ran his hands through his hair, loosening the perfect styling that had taken an hour that morning. He looked panicked and guilty and caught all at once. "It's not what you think." "Then tell me what it is. Tell me what he meant about a bet, about me being your mark." Tyler was silent for a long moment, clearly trying to figure out how to explain what words might make this okay. Finally, he spoke, his voice quiet and miserable. "In college, my senior year, the guys had this stupid tradition. They'd dare each other to pursue girls they thought were out of their league. It was immature and gross, I know that now, but back then, we thought we were being funny." I felt cold, completely cold, like someone had dumped ice water over my entire body. "And you were one of those girls." "You were new to campus, transfer student, junior year. You were beautiful and smart and seemed kind of untouchable. The guys all noticed you, and Bryce dared me to make you fall for me, said I couldn't do it, that you'd never go for someone like me." "Someone like you," I repeated numbly. "I know how this sounds, but you have to understand it stopped being about the bet almost immediately. The first time we talked, the first real conversation we had, I knew you were special. I knew this was different." I was 29 years old, standing in a private room at my wedding reception in my dress that had cost $4,000, listening to my husband of 3 hours tell me that our entire relationship had started as a dare, that I had been a target, a mark, a game. We'd met 6 years ago.
I'd transferred to his university for my junior year, wanted a change of scenery and a better program for my major. I was focused on classes, didn't go out much, spent most of my time in the library or my apartment. I wasn't looking for a relationship. Tyler had approached me in the campus coffee shop one afternoon, struck up a conversation about the book I was reading. He was charming and funny and seemed genuinely interested in talking to me. We exchanged numbers, started texting, went on our first date a week later. I remembered feeling surprised that someone like him was interested in me. Tyler was popular, social, the kind of guy who knew everyone and lit up a room. I was quieter, more reserved, still finding my footing at a new school. It felt like an unlikely match. But he pursued me, asked me out consistently, showed up at the library when I was studying, invited me to parties and events, made me feel special and wanted in a way I hadn't experienced before. I'd fallen for him over the course of that semester. Fallen hard. By the time we'd been dating for 3 months, I was completely in love with him. And apparently, I'd been an assignment, a dare, a bet he'd taken to prove he could make the untouchable transfer student fall for him. "How long?" I asked, my voice shaking. "How long before it stopped being about the bet?" Tyler hesitated. That hesitation told me everything. "A few months. By Christmas break, I was really in love with you. The bet didn't matter anymore." A few months. So our entire first semester together, every date, every conversation, every time you told me you liked me, that was part of the game? It started that way, yes, but my feelings became real so quickly. I swear to you, everything after those first few months was completely genuine. I thought about those early months, how happy I had been, how special he had made me feel, how I'd slowly opened up to him, shared parts of myself I didn't share easily, trusted him with my vulnerabilities. All of it had been based on a lie, a dare, a stupid college bet. Did you tell them? Your friends? When you won the bet? Did you tell them you'd succeeded in making me fall for you? Tyler's silence was answer enough. You did. You told them. What did you say? Did you give them details? Did you laugh about it? It wasn't like that. What was it like then? Explain it to me. Because from where I'm standing, you pursued me as part of a game, made me fall in love with you to win a bet, and then told your friends about your success. That's what happened, isn't it? I never meant to hurt you. The bet was stupid. I was 22 and immature, but my feelings became real. Everything we built after that was real. How do I know that? How do I know any of it was real when it started as a lie? Tyler reached for me. I stepped back, holding up my hand to stop him from coming closer. Don't touch me. Don't come near me. I need to think. Please, let me explain more. Let me make you understand. Understand what? That I was a target? That our entire relationship is built on you winning a dare? That every time I felt special or loved in those early months, it was just you playing a part? That's not fair. Yes, it started wrong. Yes, I should have told you years ago. But I love you. I've loved you for years. This marriage is real. My feelings are real. Are they? Or did you just get so good at pretending that you convinced yourself it was real too? I could see hurt flash across Tyler's face, but I was too angry and devastated to care. He'd lied to me for 6 years. 6 years of building a relationship, moving in together, getting engaged, planning a wedding, all of it tainted by the knowledge that it had started as a game. We need to go back out there, I said, my voice cold and controlled. We have 200 guests waiting for us. We are going to finish this reception, and then we're going to figure out what happens next. But right now, I can't even look at you. We went back to the reception. I don't remember much of the rest of the evening. I smiled and danced and cut the cake and did all the things a bride is supposed to do, but I felt like I was watching myself from outside my body, going through the motions while internally screaming. Tyler tried to act normal too, but he looked miserable. Several people asked if everything was okay. I said we were just tired, overwhelmed by the emotions of the day. No one suspected that my marriage was already falling apart. When the reception finally ended and guests started leaving, Tyler tried to talk to me again. We were supposed to spend the night at a luxury hotel downtown before flying out to Hawaii for our honeymoon the next afternoon. "We should talk more," he said as we got into the car that was supposed to take us to the hotel. "Please, let me explain everything. I don't want to hear any more tonight."
We rode to the hotel in silence, checked into the honeymoon suite that Tyler had booked months ago, stood in a beautiful room with rose petals and champagne and all the romantic touches that now felt like a mockery. I took off my wedding dress carefully, hung it up, and changed into the pajamas I'd packed. Tyler watched me, clearly wanting to say something, but not knowing what words could possibly make this better. I climbed into one side of the enormous bed. Tyler stayed on the couch, sensing that sharing a bed wasn't going to happen. "I love you," he said into the darkness. "I know you don't believe me right now, but I love you more than anything. The bet was 6 years ago. Everything since then has been real." I didn't respond. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, trying to process everything that had happened. My wedding day, what was supposed to be the happiest date of my life, had ended with the revelation that my husband had originally pursued me as a joke, that I'd been a dare, that our origin story was a lie. I didn't sleep that night, just lay there replaying 6 years of memories through this new lens. Every early date, every declaration of love, every milestone, all of it now suspect. How much had been genuine? How much had been part of the game? Would he have even stayed with me if he hadn't fallen into his own lie? The next morning, I made a decision. I couldn't go on the honeymoon. Couldn't spend 2 weeks in Hawaii pretending everything was fine. Couldn't share a romantic vacation with someone who'd started dating me as a bet. "I'm canceling the honeymoon," I told Tyler, over the room service breakfast neither of us had touched. "I'm going home. Please don't. Please, let's take this trip and talk everything through. Let me show you that my love is real. I can't be around you right now. I can't even look at you without feeling sick. What does this mean for us? For our marriage? I don't know. I need time to think. Time away from you." I called the airline and changed my flight, eating the cost of the change fee and the lost honeymoon. Called my best friend Jenna to come pick me up from the hotel, packed my honeymoon suitcase, and left my brand new husband sitting alone in the suite. Jenna was furious on my behalf when I told her what had happened. She offered to let me stay at her apartment, and I accepted. I couldn't go back to the home we shared with Tyler. Couldn't be surrounded by our things, our life, when I didn't know if that life was even real. Over the next few days, the story started spreading. Wedding guests had noticed something was off toward the end of the reception. Bryce's drunken comment about the bet hadn't seemed significant to most people at the time, but in retrospect, combined with Tyler and me disappearing for 20 minutes and then acting strange afterward, people started putting pieces together. Someone posted on social media asking if Tyler and I were okay, if there was drama at the wedding. Tyler tried calling me constantly, sent long text messages, trying to explain, trying to contextualize, trying to make me understand that his love was genuine, even if the beginning was wrong. I didn't respond. I couldn't. Every message just made me feel worse. Then, 5 days after our wedding, Tyler made a terrible decision. He posted a public apology on social media. The post was long and emotional. He admitted that he'd originally pursued me on a dare in college. He said he knew it was wrong and immature. He claimed that he'd fallen genuinely in love with me within months, and that everything after that was real. He apologized for not telling me sooner. He begged me to give him another chance. The post went viral almost immediately. Thousands of shares, tens of thousands of comments. Some people sympathized with Tyler, saying everyone makes mistakes when they're young. Others eviscerated him, calling him manipulative and cruel. Our wedding drama became entertainment for strangers on the internet. I was humiliated. The most painful moment of my life was now public gossip. My friends and family were messaging me constantly. My coworkers saw the posts. Everyone knew that my marriage had imploded less than a week in, and everyone knew why. I was furious that Tyler had made this public without asking me, that he decided to tell our story to the entire internet as some kind of performative apology, that he doubled down on humiliating me by making our private pain into content. So I responded. I wrote my own post, laying out the full story from my perspective, how I'd felt when I heard Bryce's comment, how devastated I was to learn I'd been a bet, how violated I felt knowing Tyler had shared details of successfully making me fall for him with his friends, how every memory from the first 6 months of our relationship was now tainted. I ended the post by saying I didn't know if the marriage would survive, but that I needed space and time to figure out if I could ever trust him again. I asked people to respect my privacy and stop turning my pain into entertainment. My post went even more viral than Tyler's. The comments were overwhelmingly supportive of me. People shared their own stories of being lied to or manipulated. The narrative became about Tyler being a terrible person who'd built his marriage on deception. Tyler's friends tried to defend him. Bryce posted an apology for making the joke at the wedding, saying he'd been drunk and stupid, that he hadn't meant to cause problems. Other guys from their college friend group posted about how the bet tradition had been harmless fun, that everyone knew the feelings became real, that Tyler genuinely loved me. Their attempts to defend him only made things worse. People attacked them for having such a gross tradition in the first place, called out the misogyny and manipulation inherent in daring each other to pursue women as targets. The whole thing spiraled into a massive online debate about dating, manipulation, whether people can change from their immature past, whether love that starts from dishonest motives can become genuine. And I was at the center of it all, my private pain dissected by thousands of strangers. A week after our wedding, I made a decision. I couldn't stay married to Tyler. Maybe he did genuinely love me now. Maybe his feelings had become real years ago. But I would never know for certain. I would always wonder if he was still playing a part, if his declarations of love were genuine or just a really committed performance. The foundation of our relationship was rotten, built on lies and manipulation and a stupid bet. You can't build something lasting on that kind of foundation, no matter how much genuine feeling develops later. I filed for an annulment. In our state, you can get an annulment instead of a divorce under certain circumstances, including fraud or misrepresentation. Tyler pursuing me based on a lie seemed to qualify. Tyler contested it at first, said he wanted to fight for our marriage, wanted couples counseling, wanted a chance to prove his love was real. But I was done. I couldn't spend years in therapy trying to rebuild trust that should never have been broken in the first place. Eventually, Tyler agreed to the annulment. The marriage was legally ended before we'd even hit the 1-month mark. Shortest marriage I'd ever heard of. And it was mine. The social media frenzy eventually died down. People moved on to the next drama, the next viral story, but the damage to my life was permanent. I couldn't stay at the company where I'd worked, couldn't face coworkers who'd seen everything play out online. I quit and found a new job at a different firm across town. Started over professionally to escape the association with the viral wedding disaster. I moved out of the apartment I'd shared with Tyler, found a small studio in a different neighborhood, started rebuilding my life as a single person, figuring out who I was without him. The hardest part was the loss of trust, not just in Tyler, but in everyone. If the person I'd loved most in the world could lie to me so fundamentally, how could I trust anyone? How could I believe it when someone said they cared about me? How could I know the difference between genuine interest and someone playing a part? Jenna tried to reassure me that not everyone was like Tyler, that most people were honest and genuine. But the damage was done. My ability to trust had been shattered. It's been a year since the wedding that ended my marriage. A year of rebuilding, of processing, of trying to make peace with what happened. Tyler has tried to reach out a few times, sent messages on my birthday, on what would have been our anniversary, during the holidays, each time saying he's sorry, that he understands why I left but wishes I'd given him another chance, that he still loves me. I don't respond. There's nothing to say. Whether his love is genuine or not doesn't matter anymore. The betrayal of how it started is too big to overcome. I've started dating again, cautiously. It's hard. I find myself analyzing everything potential partners say, looking for signs of deception or ulterior motives. I interrogate their interest in me, questioning whether it's genuine or if there's some game I'm not seeing. It's exhausting and unfair to the people I'm dating who haven't done anything wrong, but are paying for Tyler's sins. I'm working on it, though. Trying to remember that Tyler's deception doesn't mean everyone will deceive me, that his lie doesn't mean all love is a lie, that I can eventually trust again, even if it takes time. The viral aspect of the whole thing has mostly faded. Occasionally, someone will recognize me as that woman from the wedding bet story, but it's rare now. The internet has a short attention span, and there are always new dramas to obsess over. I've tried to take lessons from the experience. Red flags I missed, questions I should have asked, ways I could have protected myself. But the truth is, I don't think I could have seen this coming. Tyler was convincing because he'd convinced himself. By the time I met him, he probably believed his own story, that the bet didn't matter, that his feelings were pure. Maybe they were. Maybe after those first few months, everything really was genuine. Maybe I threw away a marriage that could have been real and lasting because I couldn't get past the origin story. But I don't think so. I think the lie at the foundation would have always been there, a crack in the structure that would eventually collapse. Better to walk away after a week than to spend years trying to build on that broken foundation. I got an email from Bryce about 6 months after the annulment. He apologized profusely for the drunken comment that had started everything, said he never meant to blow up my marriage, that he thought the bet was ancient history, that Tyler and I laughed about, that he felt terrible about the whole thing. I didn't respond to that either. Bryce was just the messenger. Tyler was the one who'd lied, who'd built our relationship on deception, who'd never come clean until he was forced to. My family has been supportive through all of this. My mother wanted me to try to work things out with Tyler at first, said that people make mistakes and deserved forgiveness. But when I explained the full scope of what had happened, how violated I felt, she understood why I couldn't stay. My younger sister asked me recently if I regretted marrying Tyler at all, if I wished I'd never met him, never fallen for him, never said yes to his proposal. I thought about it carefully before answering. 6 years of my life had been spent with Tyler. 6 years that had led to heartbreak and humiliation. But those 6 years had also included genuine happiness, personal growth, experiences I valued. The problem was that I'd never know how much of it was real, how much of his love had been genuine, and how much had been performance. Whether he'd stayed with me because he actually loved me, or because he'd gotten so deep into the lie that leaving would have exposed him. I don't know if I regret it, I told my sister. I wish it had been real from the start. I wish he'd pursued me because he was genuinely interested, not because his friends dared him to. But I can't change the past. All I can do is move forward and try to trust again someday. That's where I am now. 29 years old, divorced after 1 week of marriage, viral internet story, rebuilding my life piece by piece. I'm okay most days. Some days I'm angry all over again at Tyler, at Bryce, at the stupid bet culture that made me a target.
Some days I'm just sad about losing someone I loved, regardless of how that love started. But I'm moving forward, building a life that belongs to me alone, not contaminated by lies or manipulation, learning to trust again, slowly and carefully. The best man's speech at my wedding revealed a secret that destroyed my marriage, but it also revealed the truth. And I'd rather live with painful truth than beautiful lies. My marriage lasted 1 week, but I lasted longer. I survived the heartbreak and the humiliation and the viral disaster. And I'll keep surviving, keep moving forward, keep building something real on a foundation of honesty this time, even if it takes a while to get there.